Dear Grace, another day, another story idea. Called yesterday's a movie idea, the egg thing, but really just a story idea. Doesn't have to be a movie. Not that I'd ever write that story, but somebody may. Think it's a good idea. Anyways, back to, or let's start with today's movie idea, story idea, whatever idea. In a sense, it's a continuation of the Donald Trump letter, because it's set sometime in the near future, where Canada becomes the 51st state, but only by making an amazing deal. Whereby Canadians don't have to pay income tax for a couple decades or something. Our debt's wiped out. We become the 51st state, but the richest state. As part of the deal, every Canadian alive gets the number of acres based on their age. And for once, Grace, I'm not going to use Dave. Dave's too tired to do this one. So Daryl's going to do this. So sometime in the future, Daryl, age 64, inherits 64 acres of Canadian land in the big merger between Canada and the US. Daryl chose his 64 acres in the middle of nowhere, Saskatchewan, pasture land. And he made sure his 64 acres were all square, like a chessboard. Perfect square of acres. I'll come up to Daryl's background later. But he's 64. He's retired. He has his pension. Doesn't have to pay income tax. He's got 64 acres of prime Saskatchewan pasture land, which is basically useless for anything. But Daryl has lived in the city his entire life, born and raised. I want some alone time. Daryl is single, obviously. Surprisingly, Grace, I've been thinking about this movie idea for a while. Not surprising to you, it's surprising to me. Alright. So Daryl retires in the big merger, buys a camper van, or buys a truck and trailer. He gets his land. Coincidentally, it's miles and miles away from anyone else. So even if someone else did get some land in that area for free, it'd be a good distance away. Daryl with his pension is self-sufficient. Food, shelter, etc. He hates Elon Musk, but he gets Starlink satellite anyways because it's the best service out there. Only $79.99 a month. Sign up now. At first, Daryl considers inviting family and friends to his little piece of free land. Then he declines. He's happy watching Netflix at night. Set up a big outdoor viewing system with a TV in the van or camper van or camper can be slid outside easily for nighttime movie watching. Then one night, Daryl decides to calculate the exact center of his property, which he does with GPS on his phone. And he digs a small hole and throws his cigarette butt in it. Up until now, Daryl's been throwing his cigarette butts all over the place because he really didn't give a shit. It's not like he's entertaining. He thought, fuck. It's my land. I'm gonna take care of it. Sorry, Grace, is a bit of a long story, but I'm trying it out on purpose because I'm trying to get this into a 3-hour walk, or at least a 1-hour walk, but 2 or 3 would be good. And Gross gonna take out all the good shit anyways. Who's gonna fucking listen to this? Who gives a shit? Daryl digs a hole, throws his butt in there, and then by the end of the night, it's all full of butts. And all he's really done is contain the mess. Hasn't really eliminated it. So, being a man, takes a bottle of butane, soaks the butt, lights him on fire. Also, being a man, he used too much butane and almost burnt off his eyebrows. Unless that's too much of a cliche. Rock. Daryl lost it as a little experiment. Goes inside, falls asleep, forgets about it. Then the next day, digs the hole a little deeper. Uses it for both his cigarette butts and a little bit of trash around his camper. And every night he has a little ceremony where he burns whatever he fills in the hole. Sorry about that, Grace. Didn't mean to sniff so loud. This goes on for days, weeks, months, years. Every night it's the same thing, except for at some point Daryl realizes that digging a hole by hand is stupid for a 64-year-old man to do. He realizes there must be a better way. Considers buying a bunch of thermite, but doesn't have the funds. Instead, he buys the most powerful laser he can find on Amazon. And he buys as many as he can afford. Just tapes them all up above the hole in the ground. They all point straight down and burn the fuck out of whatever they reach. Now Daryl's off the grid, so of course he has to get a bunch of solar panels and shit. Charge all these lasers continually, which he does. Basically, anytime he can afford it, he just gets another laser and another solar panel. And the hole just keeps getting deeper and deeper. And he no longer has to burn because he doesn't know how deep the hole is. He starts to feel some satisfaction. Daryl realizes that this hole could be a gold mine. So literally make anything disappear. By this time the hole is only the width of a human, but it's deep enough down that when Daryl throws a grenade into the hole and it explodes, smoke barely comes out the top. Maybe not a grenade. Throw something in there to determine the depth. Whatever. It's a really fucking deep hole. Grace. So Daryl realizes this is a landmine. Gold mine. It's a gold mine because you can throw a landmine into it and the landmine can explode. Nobody ever knows the difference. Nobody even knows you have that landmine. So if you have one in your closet, you want to get rid of it safely, you can pay Daryl to come and get it. He'll take it away, throw it down this hole. It may or may not explode immediately, doesn't matter. This time the hole's so fucking deep. Doesn't know where it's going. That's what Daryl does. Anytime someone wants to get rid of something, he gets rid of it for them at a cost. And Daryl is not picky. You got a dead body, no problem. Throw it in the hole. It's gone forever. Over the years, the hole does expand a bit from person size width to car size, which makes it easier for Daryl. So now he can basically just set up a conveyor belt into the hole, bring in semis full of dangerous chemicals or whatever else people are trying to hide or get rid of, or spray out of airplanes with chemtrails, whatever. And Daryl accepts it all. And if you think about it, by now this hole is deeper than any hole ever. Way past all the water tables, way past everything. It's basically going into nowhere land. By the time that shit ever gets back up onto the surface, we'll all be dead from an asteroid or aliens or something else anyway. I'm rambling, Grace. The other advantage, Grace, of me not pausing this, it's only one file to upload. I can do that without having to edit. Nobody ever figures out what Daryl's doing. Because quite frankly, they don't care. As long as it's not in their backyard, they don't give a shit. Daryl starts buying semi-loads of shit, and he buys the actual semi-trailer as well. Actually, he doesn't buy them. People pay him to dispose of their whatever. Maybe Daryl's a busy man and doesn't want to price it all out by which product. Dead bodies cost this, chemicals cost that. Those are the only two things I can think of, Grace: dead bodies and chemicals. Whatever. Daryl's a practical man. He just has a one price per semi-load. You bring the semi, you leave the trailer and the load inside. You give Daryl the cash, And then you bugger off. Daryl then takes the trailer, backs it up to his system, basically just dumps the contents into the hole, sight unseen, and hopefully nothing explodes till it gets far enough down. But Daryl, being a genius, by this time has automated the whole process, so it's highly unlikely. Then he takes the empty trailer, flips it on its side, and stacks them around his 64 acres, like the Great Wall of China. Because they're on their sides, their wheels and stuff are still on there facing the inside. And if he ever needs to use the trailer again for some reason, he can just right them upside, and away you go. Plus you can stack layer upon layer, have a wall around his 64 acres, as high as Daryl wants. Daryl has sent drones down, but the heat of the earth melt them, as it does most things that Daryl throws down his hole now. He doesn't think he's at the core yet because the lasers measure the light distance, but it's awfully warm down there. Daryl decides he'll be the first man in the world to ever dig a hole to the center of the earth. A police agency asked Daryl to dispose of a trailer full of marijuana. He accepts. Instead of putting it in the hole, it creates a massive bonfire. And all the woodland creatures on his property come and visit him, and they all get stoned together. The end. Thank you, Grace. I'm kidding, of course, but I'm losing my focus. Go find a new location. Location, Grace. Alright, I took a bit of a race. Back to the park, where you hear less trains and more wildlife. You probably won't hear any wildlife. You'll just hear some old people talking as I walk by them. Maybe a dog bark. Anywho, back to Daryl. So the years went by. Daryl went nuts with lasers. Probably had one of his 64 acres just covered with solar panels and batteries. Surprisingly, none of his neighbors noticed, because he didn't really have any neighbors, because he was in the middle of nowhere. But of course, as any good story goes, Daryl has to get caught. But luckily, before he got caught, he made it to the Earth's core. The top of his hole was about the width of a bus or a football field. I haven't decided yet, Grace. But all going from there down to a perfect pinpoint to the center of the Earth. But because it's so far, you can't be sure. You can only go by the readings on the lasers, which tell him he's at the core. So that happens. And of course, Daryl gets caught. But when they come to inspect his hole, they realize that Daryl's thrown everything under the sun in his hole. There's not much radiation or poisonous gas coming out. And because they can't find any groundwater contamination nearby or any other sort of health issues. They realized they could charge Daryl for illegal dumping, but then where's the evidence? They'd actually have to have proof, and since Daryl's not a big fan of cameras or paper transactions and did everything in cash, it's a tough one to prove that he's actually the one who dumped the shit into the hole. Now Daryl can admit that he dug the hole. Why? Nobody's business. He's a free American citizen, American/Canadian citizen, to do as he pleases on his 64 acres of land. So the prosecutors are fucked. Daryl gets off and goes back, and since it's impossible to fill this hole, he says, fuck it, I'm just gonna keep digging. At this point, he starts going more for width at the top because he's already made the depth. So maybe this point, Grace, is where he takes it from bus size to football field size. I think they're shooting a movie in this park tomorrow, Grace. If you care. Gotta turn around. That's gonna look like I'm stalking this lady, but I'm really just going down dead end. Dead to me anyways. Grace, how you doing today? How's life treating you? Having fun yet? Enjoying this? Can't get enough? Too much? Well, Grace, you know how to stop this podcast. Pretty easy, in fact. But anyways, Daryl gets off and makes that hole huge. Scientists want to study it, but since there's no environmental impact that they can find, Daryl tells him to fuck off. His land, his hole. Instead, he offers a counter proposal. give me all of your nuclear weapons or used fuel rods from your nuclear reactors, and I'll take care of it for you. For a price, of course. And Daryl is so sure that his hole will work to basically gobble up the bomb. He says, send over a couple and I'll do them for free. If any radiation comes on my hole, then the deal's off. So the Ruskies and the Americans are now a little bit more friendly because Russia's afraid of the mighty power of the Canadian Army, which actually doesn't exist anymore. For whatever reason, Russia and the States give Daryl a bomb. He throws it in the hole, goes down all the way to the bottom to the Earth's core. Big fucking fusion ball sucks up the nuclear bombs. They explode, but comparatively speaking, it's not big enough to shake the ground. No radiation comes out because basically no particles are coming out of that fucking core. And the problem is solved. 2 bombs gone. 2 down, however many thousand to go. Of course, the system works perfectly. No radiation comes out. And the world realizes this is a way to denuclearize the entire planet. Daryl does it for a discount. He's tempted to charge full price, but then he realizes he doesn't actually use any of the money he makes except for buying more lasers. Still lives in the same trailer. He did upgrade his truck. That's only because there's always so many lasers back and forth. He needed a bit more bang for your buck. Now, of course, there's a problem. Because you gotta get all the Russian missiles over to Saskatchewan. All the ones in North America, no big deal. This is optional ending number 1, Grace. The hole is the size of a football field in circumference. Basically, Russia can just shoot the missiles right into the hole. At which point, gravity will take over, suck them down into the center of the planet, and poof, gone. In fact, the US could do that too. In fact, anyone trying to get rid of their missiles could do that. Sure, there's a small risk that there's a miscommunication, get the coordinates wrong, blows up Saskatoon, Regina, both, most of Saskatchewan, half of Canada, Western Canada, whatever. It's a risk Daryl's willing to take. What he cares about is 64 acres. And by this time, that big ass hole is just like a beacon for anything to fall into. Now, the hole can only take so many at a time, of course. You can't just keep shoving nuclear weapons in it. Well, you could, but there'd be a chance of 2 of them colliding as they get close to the hole. You wouldn't want that. So instead, they're done on schedule. Somebody develops a website that says where they're going to go from, at what time, and then people can gather around the launch sites and watch the nuclear missiles fly into the air. Or they can come to Saskatchewan, and watch them come down and hope that they don't explode on their heads. But this is a happy story, Grace, so of course there's no accidents, there's no problems. Trainloads of nuclear waste arrive, or truckloads, all taken care of, and every night for a year. Or however long it takes. Let's say you can get 50 missiles a night, a couple of years, probably take care of everything around the world. What else would people want to get rid of, Greece? At some point, Daryl realizes he's an idiot with the solar panels. He should have been using geothermal electricity, since he's basically built the mother lode of it. However, Daryl's not easily embarrassed, and realizing his mistake, he converts to geothermal electricity, and then takes all the electricity from his solar panel acre, and gives it away to the local community, which helps ease the tension, because they all think they're going to die of radiation poisoning, or more likely a nuclear bomb exploding over their heads and flattening their entire life and livelihood. Told you this is a dark one, Grace. What next? What next? Earlier in the process, when Daryl did hit the water table and this hole flooded, he would just keep throwing bags of concrete down the hole until it sealed off all the crooks and crannies. Ooh, it's starting to get boring, Grace. I don't think I have a movie idea under an hour. Seems like that would be poor sportsmanship. I guess, Grace, if we're not having nuclear weapons anymore, then there's no point of having any weapons. So the same applies for all armaments, all things that'll kill other people for no reason. And Daryl basically just creates a rail line to his hole. And on one end, they just fill rail cars full of anything they don't want. And just like before, Daryl charges them per car. So rail cars start arriving from all around North America. It's basically a track right into the hole. And it's on a hill. So the train just goes up, releases all the cars. One by one they slip into the hill, never to be seen again. I've got no big ending for this, Grace. All I can think of is he makes it a tourist attraction. People just come by and throw whatever they want in the hole for good luck. But no more dead bodies. So it basically just becomes the world's biggest wishing well. It's believed to be good luck to throw something in the hole. Of course, people will pee in the hole. Still think that's funny. Spit in the hole. Throw bottles in the hole. Weird thing is, it's okay to throw garbage in the hole and bottles and stuff. It's okay to throw anything in the hole because it just disappears. Particleizes. Although I'm not sure if a bag of dog shit would make it all the way to the bottom of the hole. You'd think it probably gets stuck in the side somewhere, but you never know. Come on, Grace, there's got to be more to this. How about this? Eventually, Elon Musk invents a drone that can go down the hole and withstand the heat. And when he sends the drone down, he realizes that first, indeed, Daryl did get to the center of the earth and the molten mass that scientists say exists there. Not saying I don't believe that, Grace. I'm just saying nobody's ever seen it. However, Elon discovers that somehow when all the nuclear bombs and everything else hits the core, it breaks them down into basic elements, and although it explodes and they sort of try and go up the hole, gravity forces them back down, but because they each weigh a slightly different amount, they're all stopped at a different layer of the hole. So you basically have ring of gold, ring of silver, ring of whatever, iron, blah blah blah. All the big heavy metals have all just sort of been sprayed against the side of the hole wall and formed there, waiting to be harvested, mined. Daryl was never interested in mining, only interested in the hole. That's why he used lasers. He just realized that lasers probably zapped through a whole bunch of gold and diamonds and everything else. But since Daryl didn't care about money, it doesn't matter. And now, looks like they'll be able to recover all gold and silver and valuable metals right from the hole, which Elon does by creating some device that slides down the side of the hole and drags it back up or something. Who the fuck knows? Whatever, there's a shitload of gold down there and all the rare earth elements, and instead of having to have people mine those, Daryl says, I'm 96 now, I don't give a fuck, mine them all you want. And then he just sits back every day, still in his original trailer, watches thousands of people come by, throw shit in the hole. Sometimes actual shit, but mostly just whatever. And then he's pretty antisocial, so he doesn't take pictures with anyone, even though he could probably charge $1,000 a pop. And then he realizes that he's going to die soon. Comes up with the most elaborate death he can think of possible. It has to be greater than anyone could ever imagine, to honor the whole. Consider skydiving into it. If knowing his luck, he'd miss. Splat. Riding a nuclear warhead down would be fun. He also knows that about 1,000 feet down, it's going to lose oxygen and start passing out long before the bomb ever goes off, so it doesn't get to enjoy the grand finale. Tell me, Grace, what can Daryl do that's spectacular? It's the most spectacular death you can think of, besides crucifixion. Well, he could do that. Tie himself to a cross with a big, trebuchet or something. Tosses him in. Yeah. I like the trebuchet, but again, there's a risk of missing. I mean, if it's still only the size of a football field, you could stretch bungee cables across it, create a trampoline in the middle. And then Daryl could just go in the middle of the hole and jump on the trampoline and then have a remote switch so that when he started jumping, he just pushes the red button. Trampoline wires are all instantaneously cut, and Daryl falls into the pit or the hole. Is it a hole if it doesn't go all the way through the earth, or is it a pit, Grace? I'm thinking if it doesn't go through, it doesn't count as a hole. It's just the world's biggest pit. Trampoline's not good enough. How about hiding from the rain under a tree, Grace? See if this helps me come up with a more interesting ending. It's quite pretty. Bunch of trees with pink flowers, ducks and geese in the pond. It's actually raining quite hard now. Alright, Grace, help me out here. What's sick and demented? I'm gonna take a break, have a cigarette, see if I can figure it out. Nicotine solves all problems, Grace. 52 minutes. It's too bad I already used that egg idea, Grace. Because lowering him down in some sort of transparent egg to see how far he can go down before it melts and he dies a painful, horrible death. But at least you can say, I went deeper to the core than anybody. Or maybe build some sort of ball, sphere, whatever. 4 feet thick walls. Something that'll get him close to the center. And then he gets into that. And then they create like a Hot Wheels track type system on the hill. He gets in the ball, rolls down the hill, a little jump. Just do a little jump so it doesn't make sure he goes over the hole. But just a nice little jump so it gets some air and gets it away from the sides a bit, and then that ball just falls down into the hole and hopefully makes it all the way to the center of the earth, where Daryl and his ball is instantly particleized. And then that's the end of the story. So for what does the world do with that hole? Because they can't fill it. It's almost an hour, Grace. Not my best movie idea ever, not my worst. I was thinking about it before, there's a lot of other things that were put into the hole, but I can't remember what the fuck they are, so I guess it doesn't really matter. Well, Grace, I was hoping to waste more of your time today, but it seems like 2 energy drinks, 4 cigarettes. Are enough to extract. Every piece of creativity out of me for today, including this quote-unquote performance to you, Grace. Two more minutes to kill. The rain stopped, if I haven't said that already. Do. I know I'm missing something, Grace. I'm gonna pause this just in case my final walk gives me one final bit of creativity. Be right back, Grace. Alright, Grace. A minute to go, but just saw some young ladies outside photographing they're not cherry blossoms, but they're trees with pink flowers. I thought that's a better ending. Daryl still goes down the hole in his big metal ball. It constantly photographs everything around him. 360 inside and out. And the world watches as he descends into the depths of the earth. His ultimate demise, when the atmosphere is particleized. The end. Hello. Fair Grace. Don't really have a reason for Daryl doing all this yet, but maybe I'll just ask Croc to make up a reason. Why would a psychopath do this? Croc. In the end, Greece, the pit just becomes a big sacrificial grave. Instead of burying bodies, everyone brings their bodies over, dumps them in the pit for good luck. Of course, some people get crazy. Instead of just dumping them over the edge, fly over in a helicopter and drop them out that way, so on and so forth. Really just becomes a bit of a mess. And Daryl's glad he's not a part of it anymore. He's happy in heaven or hell, wherever he ended up. The end. Talk to you tomorrow, Grace.